What's up YouTube, Capital G here, checking out a bunch of brand new Fortune Lady support that just got revealed. These cards are going to be released in Rising Rampage, and there was actually another Fortune Lady card that was revealed maybe over a week ago. The card is excellent. I'm really not going to talk about it in this video too much because it's essentially a Fire Formation Tenki for the archetype. It's a continuous spell. You activate it and then it gets you any Fortune Lady card from your deck to your hand, not just monsters. It's so abundantly clear, like it's good and it's going to be a 3 of in the archetype. I don't really need to explain to you guys why an archetype getting a Tenki is going to be a good thing, especially when it just searches any card in the archetype, not monsters. The card is excellent. But let's go ahead and discuss the other 4 Fortune Lady cards. Fortune Lady is getting some real interesting support. I actually like these cards. I was pleasantly surprised, unlike with the Yosenju stuff. So the first card is Fortune Lady Past, and before I talk about the card, the artwork on this card is magnificent. I love it. If you guys have ever seen the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's anime, this is straight from the anime, man. You tell me that is not Carly in her Dart Signer form. If you guys haven't seen that arc, Carly is the girl who plays Fortune Ladies in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's. Dart Signer's greatest arc in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. I stand by that 100%. Anyways, Fortune Lady Pass is a level 1 Dart Spellcaster tuner monster. She's a tuner because, spoiler alert, they're getting a synchro in this set as well. Question mark attack, question mark defense. Fortune Ladies were the original FAs where their stats were like question marks and stuff like that. Their stats basically adjust on the fly depending on their level. The third effect is a hard once per turn. First effect, this card's attack and defense become this card's level x 200 or times 200. That's built into so many different Fortune Ladies. That's like pretty much standard at this point. Effect number 2. Once per turn during your standby phase, increase this card's level by 1. That's built into all the Fortune Ladies as well. Effect number 3 is you can target one Fortune Lady monster you control, banish from your field, hand, or graveyard any number of spellcaster monsters except the targeted monster, and if you do, either increase or decrease the targeted monster's level by the same number during, until the end of the turn. Alright, so at first I was looking at this card and I wasn't really quite sure. I was like, how do you use this card? I was like, I guess you could summon it from 1 for 1, which, Fortune Lady Light is another card you could summon from 1 for 1. But the thing about Fortune Ladies is they kind of need more ways of banishing their monsters. This card can just pretty much get itself in the graveyard by, I don't know, you could link Karibo and then you could just banish it from the graveyard. Fortune Ladies need ways of banishing their stuff because a lot of their cards, like Fortune Lady Light, if she's on the field and you banish her, she'll activate her effect to summon a Fortune Lady from your deck. Also, their draw card, Future's Fortune, that requires you to take one of your banished Fortune Ladies and put it in your graveyard to draw 2. So this basically is kind of to set up for those plays. Also, there's a new trap card that definitely will work with this. Next up is the Synchro monster. Fortune Ladies are finally getting a synchro. They're from 5D, so they probably should have had a synchro a long time ago. This is Fortune Lady Ever. It's a level 7 light spellcaster synchro monster, question mark attack, question mark defense. It's fairly generic, but Fortune Ladies will probably be the only deck summoning this because it requires a tuner plus one or more non-tuner spellcaster monsters. The third effect is the hard once per turn. First effect is this card's attack and defense becomes this card's level times 400. Second effect is once per turn during your standby phase, increase this card's level by 1. Then you can banish one face-up monster your opponent controls. Third effect, once per turn during your opponent's end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish one other monster from your graveyard, one other spellcaster monster from your graveyard. Special summon this card. Okay, so to me, this card's okay. It's not like great, it's not terrible. I wish it had some type of protection because what people have to understand about Fortune Lady Ever is when you summon this card during your turn, basically you're just getting a vanilla beat stick. Yeah, it'll be 2800 attack for a level 7, which is actually pretty good, but essentially this card is not going to have any removal, it's not going to have any protection. If your opponent kills it, it's not that big of a deal because during their end phase, you can just summon it back from the graveyard, and then during your turn it'll gain 400 attack and it'll also be able to banish one of their monsters. But the fact that when you summon it, it just does nothing on your turn except be a beat stick is a little bit problematic. I kind of feel like it should have been, it should have had protection from targeting or something like that. That would have made this card insanely good in my opinion because it would have just made it so much more difficult to kill. Anyways, we have their spell card, or another spell card that's been revealed. This card is the nuts. This card is another just amazing 3 for the archetype. This is Fortune Lady Calling. It's a normal spell, and it's a hard once per turn. It has to be because it's so strong. It says if you control a Fortune Lady monster, for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except synchro monsters. Also special summon from your deck one Fortune Lady with a different name from cards you control. Okay, so basically, if you have a Fortune Lady on field, this lets you summon a Fortune Lady monster straight from your deck. Now, the thing about Fortune Ladies is they have a lot of incredibly powerful effects. The problem is, you know, they always have to be like special summoned while you control like another Fortune Lady or something like that. Fortune Lady Water is probably the best card to summon with this because Fortune Lady Water, if you control another Fortune Lady, which you have to even activate Calling, so obviously you're going to be able to resolve the effect. If you activate Water and you summon it from your deck, you get to draw 2 cards. Which obviously getting yourself a Pot of Greed is pretty damn nuts. If you don't want to go for that, because let's say, I don't know, maybe you use Pot of Extravagance earlier in the turn and you can't draw any more cards, you could go for Fortune Lady Fire. Fortune Lady Fire can blow up an opponent's monster and inflict damage equal to that monster's current attack. So basically, Fortune Lady Fire has like a built-in Ring of Destruction, and Fortune Lady Wind is kind of like their Spell and Trap removal card. It blows up spell and traps equivalent to the number of Fortune Ladies you control, which should be at least 2, so that's not bad either. I mean, overall, this is like another just bona fide 3 of in the archetype. I don't know why you wouldn't want to just summon Fortune Ladies from your deck. Seems like a card that is super good, and I liked it a lot. We have our last card, which is a trap. This is Fortune Lady Rewind. Fortune Lady Rewind is a hard once per turn. It's a normal trap, and it says target any number of your banished Fortune Lady monsters with different names, special summon them, but shuffle them into the deck during the end phase. Okay, so obviously, this is another card that can basically kind of be set up by Fortune Lady Pass, the first level one that we talked about, because with Fortune Lady Pass, you can banish as many Fortune Ladies from your graveyard or even your field as you want, and obviously, just being able to summon them all back is kind of good, like a watered down return from a different dimension, because it does have to be Fortune Ladies with different names. Unfortunately, I wish it could just be any amount of Fortune Ladies. This card, when I first saw it, it reminded me so much of Hysteric Party, the Harpy card, but this one doesn't have a cost. Like, you don't have to discard anything, you just activate this and then you get a whole bunch of Fortune Ladies. I would definitely run this because you know, it just is a card that can summon up to 5 monsters at once. The fact that the monsters get shuffled back into the deck makes sense. Konami would not obviously want you to just rebanish your Fortune Ladies because then you could just probably activate like another copy of this during your next turn, or you'd be able to like set up with Futures Fortunes and stuff like that. They had to make it at least have some type of drawback, and banishing Fortune Ladies is not really a drawback because that's just kind of how the deck works. I mean, I think that like even if you don't kill your opponent with like battle damage because the Fortune Lady monsters aren't that strong when it comes to their stats, you can obviously use them for link summon, you could use them for synchro summoning and stuff like that. You're always going to get value when you're summoning 3, 4, 5 monsters at one time. You'll always find something good that those monsters can do. So honestly, I think all of these cards are like legitimately good. I think they're all okay. I mean, the Synchro Monster could have been a little bit better, but it seems like a card that is going to be like the longer the game goes and the longer the card stays face up on the field, the better it is, and it's acceptable. I just really wish it would have had some type of protection. But what do you guys think of the new Fortune Lady support? Whatever you do think of it, leave it in the comment section below. Again, I was pleasantly surprised. I really didn't think, or I didn't have that much when it came to like expectations. I think that a Link Monster still could be kind of nice, especially because of their trap card. The fact that the trap card can summon, you know, like 5 monsters potentially at once. I don't think that this is going, like this new support, I don't think that it's going to make any of the bad Fortune Ladies good, like you know, Dark and Fortune Lady Earth. Like those were cards that were just like bad in the past. I don't feel like those cards are going to be better now, but I do feel like the cards that were already good, like Futures Fortune, Fortune Lady Water, Fortune Lady Fire, and then Fortune Lady like Wind, those cards are just going to be significantly better. But let me know what you think of these new Fortune Lady cards in the comment section below, especially if you're a Fortune Lady fan. Are these the cards that you wanted, or maybe there's something else that you think Fortune Ladies could definitely have that would make them a lot more viable? Anyways, thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos. This video has been brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free free trial at audibletrial.com/megacapital G. Over 180,000 titles to choose from on your Apple or Android device. Cancel anytime with no obligations. I'm listening to The Amazing Wrestling for My Life by Shawn Michaels. Link in the description.